Welcome, I'm Taryn,
I'm Tori, and this is Healing with Traveling Treasures.
where we provide a platform for women to talk about how life's experiences and friendships have shaped us.
So come along with us and have some fun. We're so glad you're here.
So we wanted to start out this podcast by just kind of explaining who we are and how we got to know each other and talking a little bit about our 44-year-long friendship. We've known each other since the very first day of kindergarten. So, Tori, did you want to tell that story a little bit?
Sure. So on the first day of kindergarten, way back in 1981,
Mm-hmm.
my mom was bringing me to the first day, and I wanted nothing to do with it. I was crying and begging my mom, please don't leave me here. I don't want this. And this little girl with this gorgeous long black hair came and grabbed me by the hand and said to me, come on, we're going to have fun. And we did.
We did. And we haven't
We did, and
stopped
we're
ever
still
since.
having fun.
So then growing up in the 80s, we had a lot of fun birthday parties because our birthdays are just on either side of Halloween. Mine's November 1st and Tori's is October 30th. And so we just fall on either side of Halloween. So we used to have the best Halloween birthday parties, and sometimes it would be at her house, or sometimes it would be at my house, or sometimes it would be at someplace exotic like
Casa Bonita.
Casa Bonita. So for those of you who aren't from Colorado, we have this magical restaurant here called Casa Bonita. And Casa Bonita, and sometimes people jokingly call it Casa Belvita because you don't go there for the food. You
Worst
totally-
Mexican food you've ever had, but the best
They have cliff
atmosphere.
divers,
Yes.
and they have a guy in a monkey suit who runs around, and they have a mariachi band, and they have all you can eat sopapillas, and they have skee ball, and they have all the things.
They have a cave that you can run through. They have puppet shows. They have
Right?
an arcade. They have, it's the best. It's the best place ever.
Maybe that's where we should have our 50th birthday.
That would be so much fun.
It's a little more attainable than Mexico. Maybe we should just do
Love
our
it.
50th birthday at Casa Velveeta.
I think we should. I think that would be fabulous.
It'd be fabulous, right, darling?
Fabulous. Oh, we could
We
dress
could
up.
we could dress up. We could dress up in all of our get up too. We'd fit right
Yes.
in. It'd be fine.
Yes. Yes.
Um, so then we also, we spent a lot of summers at Kanemoto Park Pool. You and I would just go out and our mothers could send us to Kanemoto Park Pool for 25 cents a day. So from 9 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we would be out at that pool, which was only 3 feet deep at the deepest end. Until we were old enough to ride our bikes to Sunset, and then we did that.
Yeah.
But and
We'd
we
always
lived,
come running home in the middle of the day for lunch and
right? Have some
sopping
ramen
wet.
noodles, a half a bologna sandwich, and we'd be
Yep.
back out there till 5 p.m.
Yep.
And we were
Yes.
so dark by the end of the summer, tan.
We were, and my hair would always turn like a really cool shade of red because I was in the sun so long.
Mine
Which
too.
my hair's not naturally blonde or gray. Okay, it's naturally gray, but
My hair is naturally blonde. Yeah. Okay. Oh my goodness.
yeah. And we also did a lot of roller skating.
Oh my
The
gosh, the
roller
roll
rink.
arena was the
Oh my
best place
gosh.
to hang out. So we used to
Oh,
go down there and drink
every
pickle juice.
weekend. Oh yeah, pickle juice and red vine.
Red pickle juice and red vines. Heck,
Oh,
that just, oh man, I just had this moment. I just flashed right back to that moment. I can hear the Hey Mickey right now.
oh,
Hey, Mickey, you're so pretty, don't you
You're so fine, you
understand?
blow my mind.
That's the
Oh,
one.
yeah. Oh,
So
and the
then we
birthday
had our
parties
teen
there.
years.
We know.
What?
I don't think the birthday parties at the Roll Arena. I never had my birthday party there, but all my cousins did. So, oh, and just so y'all know, Taryn still lives in Colorado, where we grew up in the same town that we grew up in, which is this. But I no longer live there. I'm in New Mexico now, where my daughter and son-in-law live. They kind of brought me out here, and now here I am in the middle of nowhere. One of these days, I'm gonna get back home. I'm gonna get
I,
home someday.
I know you
I don't know
will.
when. I don't know when.
I know.
But now, don't get me wrong. I've been to visit many times,
Right?
but someday I'm gonna get back there to live again. I miss my Taryn and the rest of my family too. We
So
both have
then
very
let's,
large families. And Taryn has a very large immediate family. I
I've
mean
got
that
four
too.
kids
That too.
altogether.
Mhm.
My stepkids are 25 and 23 right now, and then I have a 16 and a 14-year-old.
Mhm. Mhm.
I can't hardly believe it.
I know, right? It's insane. My kids are so I have my oldest, which is excuse me, my only biological child. She is 29 years old. Whew. And then I have three bonus kids, and they are oh gosh, uh, 25, 23, and 21.
I have three younger sisters. So I'm the oldest of four, and I have a sister that's a couple years younger than I am. And then I have one that is 12 years younger than I am, and then another one that's 18 years younger than I am.
Yeah.
So I'm
So,
chock full of sisters. And then
oh,
you were so blessed with a sister yourself.
oh Lord. Yeah. Is that what we're gonna call it? Blessed? Okay, we'll go there.
She's such a blessing. They're all a blessing.
I mean, when
Yes
she
and no.
first came along, I was like so excited to have a baby sister, and then I had to take her everywhere with me. But
And then she grew up
she's
and
8
started
years younger
sassing
than
back.
me, right? I don't know where she learned that from. Jeez. Anyway, uh, so
Anyway.
from there we became teenagers,
Oh God.
little rebellious little teens.
Right?
Yeah, we
And we went to the same school together for a little while.
yeah, kindergarten through fourth grade we were in the same school, and then I moved away in the middle of fourth.
Right?
Um, and I went to two other elementary schools after that, and then we went to separate middle schools as well. And high school, I ended up in four different high schools, one of which was the same as Taryn. So we went to high school for a little bit together, but, or,
Right. You
you
moved
know,
around.
yeah. But by the time we were teenagers, I mean, we always kept in touch, but when we were teenagers, we were kind of on different, uh,
Different trajectories. We were kind of going
yeah.
different ways. Like you had
Mhm.
school struggles and I had parental struggles and I had, like we were
I
doing our
had
own thing. I
life
think we were
struggles,
also,
not just school struggles. Mine were had a lot of parental struggles as well. So yeah, we were just both in different worlds. We kind of separated a little bit, not separated, but we were just in our own worlds. We weren't.
we weren't part of each other's daily lives, and that's
Yeah,
okay. Like
yeah,
we've had times like that where we've been part of each other's daily lives because something's going on or
mm-hmm.
because we were in close proximity or we were having fun doing something or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. The kids were the same age, and then we had things that where we kind of grew apart. We moved different to different cities, and
Mm-hmm.
then we came back together again, and we've always kept in touch. And whenever we take a break, it doesn't really matter because we have so much to talk about when we're together,
Yeah,
that it's like not skipping a beat. We don't skip a beat, even when it's months or years, even that we don't talk. We
yeah.
get right back together again, like,
It's like there was no time in between. You know.
right.
It's our
Because that
friendship is
connection is so
just,
strong always.
yeah, from day one, really, from day one. I mean, we were inseparable in kindergarten. So inseparable. Well, we'll get to that later. That's another story for later on. But anyway,
Anyway,
so our teen years, yeah, we're kind of, here and there. Um, but I don't know. We had some common friends. We did have well, which was what was funny about that is that we didn't know we had common friends. It wasn't until years later that we were talking, here and there, and we realized we both hung out with the same people just at different times or different
I
days.
dated Nathan. Oh, you dated Nathan too? Oh, yeah. Oh, huh.
Wait, when did you date Ethan? Oh, okay. Well, oh,
Whatever.
yeah.
It's so funny though. But we also have a lot of the kindergarten friends that we're still friends with all these
Hmm.
years later. We went to school with like 25 people that we graduated with from kindergarten through high school.
Hmm.
And we're still, friends with some of those guys. We
Yeah.
still communicate with them on Facebook or we get together with them at the reunions or whatever. And it's really fun to reconnect with those old friends and those common friends that we have. And then we've become friends with each other's families too. We've kind of combined the families
Yeah.
because we've been to so many parties and stuff like that that they just kind of were like the cousin that we adopted or that we
Right.
chose, the sister that we
Yeah.
chose,
Her
you
family
know.
knows me, my family knows her. It's just our kids too. Like our kids all grew up as, they're more like cousins than friends or our parents' friends or whatever. You know,
Right.
Tamra, her sister that's 2 years younger, her kids and my kids are kind of the same age and they all, they grew up together and um Tamra's oldest daughter and my oldest daughter are like what, a year or two apart from each other, and they also went to the same high school. And
Played my clarinet.
yes, they both played clarinet in
They
high
all
school.
played my clarinet in high school, which I just love that there's a sticker
Yeah.
from each one of the kids' high schools on my clarinet now.
Yeah.
Love it. I
Oh
hope
yeah.
that I get one from Longmont High School pretty soon because
Oh, I'm sure you
Bailey's
will.
gonna start there too.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
I'm excited.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. The kids all grew up together, and it's just, family. We're just family,
Right.
as Taryn always says, we're sisters that we chose.
I'm so glad I did too. I chose wisely.
You did. You have good taste.
I chose wisely. So then
Uh,
we have early adulthood. Let's talk about that
oh,
for a minute, because I ran away from home when I was about, just barely 18. I graduated from high school, I got a job, I bought a car, and I got out as soon as I could, and I moved in with the first guy that would have me. Like
you mean that
I
was
had
lucky enough to have you?
yeah, that too, but I was just desperate to get out of my house at that point. They brought home a
Yeah.
new baby and my dad and I weren't getting along and I was like, "All right, gotta go." And I moved in with that guy and then I wound up marrying him many years later. We were able to buy a house before I was 23 years old and we went to Europe for our honeymoon.
For me, I actually moved out of my parents' house when I was 16. It was mainly because I was having issues with my dad. We just weren't getting along, and I I was determined to finish high school, even though I was on my own and things were rough. Um, at one point, it was right before my 18th birthday, and I went to register for school. It was my junior year. Let me see. I have something wrong there. I don't know if it was, yeah, it was my sophomore year because I was when I moved out. But anyway, junior year, I'm going in to register for school, and I gave my address where I was actually living, and my principal was talking to me, and she says, "Well, aren't you living with your parents?" And I said, "No," and blah blah blah. I went through the whole thing, and I had a note from my mom that explained that I was living elsewhere and that she was aware of it and okay with it, and I needed to register for school. Well, principal said no, absolutely not. You have to move back in with your parents, which I was not happy with, and talked to my parents, and they said, okay, let's do this again, and moved back in and got started with school. And then I ended up having some pains and went to the emergency room, and all because the principal wanted me to. Well, anyway, long story short, I got kicked out of the house. And it was before my 18th birthday, because that's what my principal wanted. She wanted me to be living at home until I was 18. Well, got
Why were
kicked.
you kicked out of the house?
Why? Because my principal told my mom that I had an ectopic pregnancy,
Uh,
which I didn't. And not only that, the principal didn't even ask if I was sexually active before she assumed that that's what my problem was, which is why my mom okayed her to send me to the ER. And so when I got home, I got ripped into about it, and my parents, neither one of them wanted to hear anything I had to say, and they said, "You get out now. We don't want you here." Blah blah blah. So I was on my own again, which I knew how to do, but I wasn't prepared to do it right then.
right.
And, so that was a rough time for me. And yeah, growing up, I spent a lot of time in hospitals because I was born with asthma. And through my adolescence, I had a lot of pneumonia, bronchitis, and collapsed lungs. So I spent a lot of time in the hospital, and I missed a lot of school because of that. So my senior year of high school, again, I ended up in the hospital. I missed like a month of school, and it put me so far behind that I was having trouble getting finished with all my courses in time for graduation. I worked my ass off. Not only that, I was living on my own, so I had to work. I didn't have a car, so I had to ride the bus to school. I had to leave my house at 5 a.m. every morning, get myself to school. After school, I would do my homework and get myself to work and work until like 10 o'clock at night, which buses don't run that late. So then I had to walk home, clear across town, by the way. um, And, like I say, I was working my ass off trying to get done for graduation, and I couldn't do it. I wasn't able to finish everything on time. And my principal knew how hard I was working. And he told me, you know what, if you go to adult ed over the summer and get your diploma, I will give you a diploma from here too. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So that summer, I started school at adult ed, and I had 3 credits that I needed. So that meant 3 books of work that I needed to do. And I that was the summer I found out I was pregnant. I was 19, but I wanted to get my diploma before my daughter was born. So I went home on spring break, and I spent the entire week, every waking moment I had, I was working on my schoolwork. And so the Monday after spring break, I went into school and I handed the teacher all 3 books and all of my papers, and I said, please grade these. and, and
Right.
I told her, I said, as soon as you're done grading these, I'm graduating. And at the end of it, I passed everything and I graduated that day.
Brand.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, she
so
called
proud
my
of you.
mom. I graduated before my daughter was born the next month in May. My when she was about a year old is when I got married, um, to a guy that I met while I was pregnant, so it wasn't her father. Um, and yeah, we got married. I think it was like 1997 ish.
Hmm.
Yeah, and we were married for like 6 years, I think. Let's see, 2002. Let's see, is that it? Yeah. So 5 years. And we got divorced in 2002. Um,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
That. No, just kidding.
Are you kidding me? It seemed like forever.
Speaking of which, I ran away with Jeff in, 1990,
5?
1994. It was 94. It
Oh,
was right after we graduated. Yeah.
yeah.
And then I lived with him until 2008.
Hmm.
But we were married in the year 2000. Actually married. We were
Right.
together for like 7 years before we got married, and then we got married
Hmm.
and we were together for 7 years after that. And
Hmm.
he was a good guy. I still is a good guy. I have nothing bad to say about Jeff. I'm just done being
Hmm.
married to him,
Yeah.
and he's
Oh,
done being married to me, so it works out.
um, just so to kind of clarify stuff, because I just said I graduated in 96, and Taryn said we graduated in 94. Well,
Oh, yeah.
all of that's true, but when I was in the second grade, when we were in the second grade, my mom held me back because the teachers told her I wouldn't speak to anyone.
I
Yeah.
knew better.
Oh, did
They
you?
should have asked me because I knew you had plenty to say.
I was a very shy child at that time. I mean, from the minute I was born, I was so shy. I did not want to talk to anybody. But Taryn helped me kind of come out of my shell a little bit. But although in elementary school I was still pretty shy. But I
Yeah,
definitely had friends. In fact, I had a couple other friends besides Taryn, Jennifer and Jenny.
Jennifer and Jenny. I love Jennifer and Jenny though. They are so sweet. They're awesome people but at the time in second grade I was wildly jealous that my best friend had other friends. Like, oh my God. How dare she cheat on me with other friends?
Oh gosh, we actually fought about it too. I
I
can
know.
have other friends. No, you cannot. I'm your friend.
I didn't know. I was figuring it out too. I didn't know. I didn't have all the rules yet.
But anyway, so that put me behind Taryn by a year. Um, and so
Well,
when
you
I
also
moved
have
away, I
health
was in fourth
struggles.
grade, but she was in fifth grade. So, there's that. But when we went to the same school, I mean, we still knew all the same people. It
Right.
was, it was all the people we went to elementary school with
See,
at
I
that
forget
school.
all the time that that even happened to you because it just
Hmm.
doesn't even matter to me that we were in different grades. Like
Right.
we saw each other on the playground all the time. We still hung out. Still saw each other at the pool. We still
Mhm.
went to the skating
We
rink.
still
We
had
still
birthday
hung
parties
out,
together. We
listened to records, and yeah.
we
So
we marked the birth of our siblings together.
that too. My mama drove me all the way to Loveland to meet your sister, or
uh,
I guess that was probably a
for
little after.
that was no, that was for me to meet your sister.
Oh,
That was
is
when
that what that
Lacey,
was?
yeah, that was when Lacey was born. We were like
Oh,
12.
1987. Alrighty
Yeah,
then.
yeah, yeah,
Girl, so much stuff.
yeah.
All right, so where are we at here?
Let's see. We talked about Emily. We talked about my marriage, your marriage, my
Divorces?
divorce. um, Somewhere around, what was it? Maybe 19, no,
2000.
2000 something. We started working together. I had already been working at a nursing home, and Taryn was ready for a change. And, she
Yep.
decided to come work with me at the nursing home, and I got to train her as a CNA.
I had
Which,
been working in technical support. I had been working in really high tech, stressful jobs. I was doing file transfers for this company that maintained the 911 database. I had cubicle jobs for 15 years and I was sick to death of them. And I said I was going to kill myself if I ever had to answer the phone ever again. Like, I just didn't want to be in a phone call center ever again. I just wanted to do something totally different. And so I looked around and I asked Tori about her job at the nursing home. I took half the pay to go
Mhm.
over there and learn how to be a CNA. And yeah, you got to train me, and that was pretty cool. You were making more money at that point than I was. You had the experience and stuff like that, but I had to start from like ground level.
And I'm so glad she did because she was a fabulous CNA. She has so much compassion and love in her heart, and there is no one better to take care of other people. I mean, it's in her nature to take care of others. And so, yeah, we worked there
Thank you
together.
for saying that, and I feel like you have the same superpower, but you have the additional superpower of being speedy and fast and efficient. You are really good at knowing exactly what you have to get done and doing it in an order in which it is very efficient. And I learned that from you working in the nursing home. I
I
learned,
was
so I
definitely
got
the crack.
faster.
You
What?
did. I said I was definitely the crack the whip type.
Yeah, well, you had to be because we had
Yeah.
so many people to take care of, and you
Yeah.
had so many other things to do. You were training, and you were also doing, I think you were doing restorative at the time, so you were helping with
Mhm.
wheelchairs and fitting
Mhm.
people with equipment that they needed and stuff like that. So you didn't have time for no bullshit. You had to get that stuff done.
That's
Yeah,
right. Hey, stop.
but I
Sorry.
needed that too. That's okay.
And my
So what are we talking now? We're talking about we're working for hospice together. That's the next thing we did.
yeah.
Well, I guess I'm skipping a bunch of stuff here. We worked in the nursing home together. You were
Mhm.
in and out of the hospital a lot in 2005. Do you
Mhm.
want to talk about that a little bit?
So the first time, not the first time I was in the hospital by any means, but the first time that I got pancreatitis, I had pancreatitis a lot back then. But the first time, I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what was going on with my body. I just, I woke up one day and I felt like crap. And I spent a little extra time in bed. And at one point I was like, you know what? If I get up and take a shower, I think that'll help me feel better. Um, and my daughter, sweetheart that she is, I think she was like, what was she like? I don't know, 6 or 7, 7, 8, somewhere around there. She brought me some cookies and milk because it was going to make me feel better. And so I drank the milk, I ate the cookies, and I got up to go take my shower. And when I got up, I could barely stand. I was staggering through the house, and I couldn't do it. And I just kind of collapsed in the hallway. And she, of course, was like, "Oh my God, Mom!" And I could barely talk to her. I did not know what was wrong with me, and she called 911. I think she was like 7. She was around 7. Yeah,
Wow.
and 7 or 8, somewhere around there. And she called 911, and they came and they took me away. She ended up going to one of our neighbors' houses while I went to the hospital. And when I got to the hospital and they did some tests and found out what was wrong with me, they were not equipped to take care of me as sick as I was. And the doctor told me that had I waited one more day, I probably would not have made it. And so they sent me to St. Joe's Hospital in Denver to be taken care of. And, that's when I found out I had pancreatitis. And at the time, I didn't even know anything about pancreatitis. So,
Hmm.
they treated me. I was in the hospital for 3 weeks and not allowed to eat or drink anything pretty much the whole time. I had a PIC line. It was miserable,
I
miserable.
remember going to see you when you were in the hospital during that time. I took you that star
Mhm.
lantern and
Yeah.
came to visit you, and I remember how sick you were, and I remember hearing that you weren't allowed to eat or drink anything and thinking, "Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, that must be so awful just to
Yeah.
lay there and not be able to do much of anything and be in so much pain."
Mhm.
I have heard pancreatitis is one of the most painful conditions you can possibly have.
I can vouch
And
for that.
yeah, I can vouch for that too after seeing you on,
Mhm.
I think they were giving you morphine and stuff like that too, weren't they? But it
They
wasn't
were.
really even helping you.
I was
I,
getting morphine. I was getting Phenergan because you get so nauseous during pancreatitis alone, and
Right.
It was so miserable. But that came back. It came back. It kept coming back. Like almost every 3 months, almost like clockwork for the next 5 years. Um, I spent so much time in the hospital. It was it was miserable to say the least. I had lots of procedures. I had lots of tests. They could never figure out why. I mean, the most common reason for pancreatitis is alcohol. Massive alcohol intake, and I did not have that. That was not the case for me. Um, it was not genetic, and or at least not that they could tell. Um, because I had no one in my family that had ever had it before. So, it wasn't
Yeah.
that. So they never
Have they
figured it out.
ever found an answer for you, or is it still kind of a
Yes.
mystery?
Well,
Yes,
it's yeah. As
because it's
of
related to the new diagnoses.
uh-huh. That's what it was the whole time. And had they done genetic testing back then, we would have figured it out, but they didn't. That was the only test they didn't do was genetic testing.
Wow.
So, hmm yeah, that was a lot.
So at about that same time, I was taking care of my grandmother for about 6 months. She died of lung cancer, in her 80s, and I was with her, on again, off again for a week at a time. I would go to her house for a week, and then I would come home and work at the nursing home for a week, and then go back out there for a week. And so these things kind of overlapped a little bit, that I was taking
Hmm
care of my grandmother. That was a very hard time for my family, for my mother and I, because it was full-time caregiving. It was a full week away from our own families and our own homes and the things that we needed to do. And my grandmother was um, very loving and very important to us, our little matriarch of our family. But she was not real easy sometimes. She was kind of bossy and she liked things her way, and she was very stubborn about stuff, and it was mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually difficult time for me to get through. And my marriage didn't make it through that. Jeff and I kind of fell apart, and then a dear friend of ours is another man that we have known for years and years and years, and he and I got together, and I moved out and moved in with William in 2008. And then we had our first baby in 2009. William and I did. Jeff and I never had babies, but William and I had Tristan in 2009, and William already has two other kids, so that's what was happening to me around that time.
hmm hmm
And that's about the time that you and I started hanging out again, because we started having babies together.
Yeah,
And
well, that's when we started hanging out on a more regular basis because we had
right, again. Right.
we had started hanging out a long before that.
Right.
It was when you were with before you got married with
Oh,
Jeff.
that's true. Yeah, because
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and it was I don't know how old Emily. It was shortly after Emily was born. Like maybe she might have been 3 or 4 when we kind of started, hanging out more.
Right.
Um, uh, some of my favorite pictures are the ones that you took. one of the one of the few times that you babysat for her when she was small, and she was at your house, and they were
The
just
ones
amazing.
in the hat,
Yes, the ones in
where
the
she's
hat.
wearing the hat. Those are such pretty
Yeah,
pictures. I love
they're
those.
so adorable. I love those pictures. Those are some of my favorites. But yeah, I something else that you and I both did around caregiving is when we were both around 12 years old, we both were home taking care of our grandmothers.
Oh,
Um,
that's right.
yeah, when I was 12, so my grandmother fell out of her wheelchair, and it took 8 hours before someone actually found her. And she ended up in the hospital, and the doctors would not release her from the hospital unless she either went to live in a nursing home or with family. Well, everyone worked. There was no one to take care of her, but it was summertime, so I was home from school, and so she came to live with us, and I took care of her through that whole summer.
That year too, my mama came home with a brand new baby. Then my great grandmother was living with my grandparents at the time, and my grandmother had a heart attack. My father's mother had a heart attack, and she was in the hospital herself. So then great grandma moved in with us and the new baby. And so grandma moved into the new baby's room and the new baby moved into the living room. We had a crib in the middle of the living room. And my job was to either help the baby or to help grandma that summer. So either my mom was in taking care of grandma and I was changing the baby diaper, or she was changing the baby diaper and I was taking grandma to the bathroom, or I
Mhm.
was, doing whatever. One of the blessings of that time, though, is that I got to really know my great grandmother. I sat with her for a long time. I talked to her about all kinds of stuff. I'm really glad that I got to know her, but.
Because I loved every minute that I got to spend with my grandma. This was my dad's mom as well, and she was just amazing to me. I adored her. From day one, I just adored her. I even before she came to live with us, you know, I would love to just spend hours at her house. My parents would go shopping for her every week, and I just stayed at grandma's house while they went shopping, and I just sat with her and we talked and but that summer with her was just amazing to me. I cherish every moment, and I'm so happy that I got that time with her.
Yeah,
Um,
that's really cool.
yeah, yeah,
I'm glad I got my time too.
yeah,
And
um,
I forgot that we had that in common too. That's
hmm hmm yeah,
that's interesting. It's
yeah,
interesting how often our lives kind of paralleled each other, that we were
yeah,
born so close together and just
mhm,
that we just kept winding up in the same places throughout the years.
absolutely, yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, oh
This
man,
is one of my Go
yeah.
ahead.
Oh, the other thing too is you married or you got together with Bill in 2008. Well, in 2006, I remarried.
That's
And
right.
my husband at the time, he had three children from his first marriage. That's where my bonus children came from. And
Yeah.
so we both became stepmoms, within a couple of years of each other. And, that was a hard time. It was a really hard time, but at the same time, it was a really wonderful time. We were
Yep.
both learning a lot about ourselves and about being stepmoms and raising these families, these mixed families, and it was a lot of ups and downs, but we were there for each other through
And you've
we
helped me a
supported each
lot.
other, and yeah,
We
we
went
helped
to
each
court
other.
together and we watched
Mhm.
each other's kids and we made each other's meals and we sometimes we would struggle with things like birthday parties, like, oh my gosh, it's our weekend to have the kids and it's somebody's birthday. And I'd be like, I'll be right over. What does he want for his birthday? Okay, I'll pick some up on the way,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
we just have ourselves a little party because
Mhm.
between my four kids and your four kids, we had a party. That was a birthday
Yeah,
party. Instant party.
heck yeah. We did the same thing with like holidays. I just remember so many New Year's Eves that were like, hey, got the
Got
kids,
it.
wanna hang out? Let's party. Oh, we had a blast though. I mean, our kids had a blast. The 4th of July parties at the lake were some
At
of
the
my
lake.
favorite ones. I
Epic, yeah.
mean, those were long days. We would go. I don't even know what time in the morning. We
Well,
my
you would show up
family.
at like 3 in the morning to stake out the spot and make sure
Yeah,
nobody took
yeah,
our table,
exactly.
right?
Would
That's why
not
you
be
thought it was such
caught.
a long day. So
Yes,
you're like,
but
my
hey, we got
table.
good seats.
We did.
And we'd barbecue there at the park and the kids would play and we'd have sparklers, and I mean those were some of the best times, you know?
And the fireworks show is so pretty there because you can see it over the
Yes.
lake and then it reflects on the lake and
Yes.
it was
Yeah.
really
That's
nice
my
spot
favorite
to
place
watch.
to see the fireworks.
I can
Yeah.
see why.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we did all kinds of other stuff. We would take the kids fishing, and we did
Mhm.
that trip to the hot springs that one time where we went up to Glenwood
Yes.
Springs and
Oh, I love that. That was so much fun. So much
took
fun.
all of the kids and
All
had a
the
party in
kids.
Glenwood. We got adjoining hotel rooms
Yeah.
and
Eight,
just partied
what
it
was
up
it? Four adults and eight children.
in two hotel rooms. Hey man, we made it work.
We did. We did. Oh my God. Bologna sandwiches and all.
The best kind of trip, man.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell
Think
yeah.
about how much more travel we get out of our trips because we eat bologna sandwiches and we get like another
Exactly.
$50 to put another tank of gas in the car, come
Exactly.
on.
Yeah. We know how to do it. Oh, you know what? You know why we know how to do it? Because we're Girl Scouts, you know? We were both Girl Scouts and we were brownies
That's
and Girl
right.
Scouts and we did all that
Yep.
stuff.
And we
Camping
could plan. They
at
taught us how to plan stuff by
Meadow
ourselves.
Mountain Ranch. Yeah.
Okay. So then we had sleepovers for the kids. We had instant birthday parties. We went back to Casa Bonita. We took the kids to Casa
Oh, we did.
Bonita. So
We
maybe yeah, our
did.
50th birthday might as well be there too.
It might as well be, yeah.
If we can't
Oh,
make it to Mexico
oh,
because we just had this. Oh, what?
your St. Patrick's Day parties. Those were, oh, hell yeah.
We're gonna drink and fight and drink and fight and drink and fight some more.
Oh, and there was so much drinking.
No, not much fighting though. A lot of laughing.
No, there
Some
was a
rolling
lot of
around on the floor, a little bit of passing out.
yeah,
Not
yeah,
too
yeah.
much. So yeah, we had gosh, so many things happen. It's hard to keep up with the timeline because you're going through things. I'm going through things. We got
Mhm.
stepkids. My mama got sick. My
Yeah.
mom was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, and really only took a couple of years for it to completely consume her. And she went through chemotherapy and all kinds of illness because of the chemotherapy. And
That was a rough time.
cancer is a very awful way to watch someone die. It takes a long time and it's very painful and it affects every single person that you know.
Hmm.
It affects every single person
The patient.
the ill person knows in some way.
Yeah. And
And
my,
so
go ahead.
anyway, it was a lot to go through. Losing my mother, losing my grandmother was huge too. Like the family started to fall apart when that happened, but my mother died, the family really, like that was it. That was the last little bit of glue that was holding us together, and everybody just totally fell apart. But that's changing now too. Things are coming back around a little bit, but
Mhm.
it's just kind of interesting that we went through so much hardship
Mhm.
during that time.
My grandma died the same year as your mom, too.
That's
So,
right. And I was
my
working for
grandma,
hospice at the time, so I went to take care of your grandmother.
and my grandma
Did
had
you ever?
cancer, too. My grandma had lung cancer. Um,
That's right.
mhm. But yeah.
And then we talked about whether or not you took care of my grandfather on my mother's side because he lived with my mom while she was going through chemotherapy. Do you remember that?
I
My
do remember
grandfather
that.
My
I do
grandfather
remember that.
lived with her and went through the dying process while she was going through chemotherapy, and then she
Yeah.
died shortly after he did.
Hmm.
Holy guacamole. And then Jeff was almost killed in that car accident, my ex-husband.
Yes. Oh my God, that was scary. That was scary.
So I moved
Ugh.
out of my ex-husband's house, got into the apartment. My mom passed away and I was having trouble with my dad. He and I were really fighting
Mhm.
again, and then I found out Jeff was in that horrible car accident.
Mhm.
He was going on a highway and another car crossed the median,
Yeah. Hmm.
and he hit that there was a big cargo van, and then he got spun around and got hit again by another car coming at him in the lane. So he got in two head-on accidents within a few seconds of each other, and he was very badly injured and he almost died. And um shortly after that, found out I was pregnant with Tristan. So like all those things happened, boom, 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 one right after the next, and that was what drove me to church. I was like, I gotta, I need some help.
Gotta do
Lord,
something here.
Lord, help me. I can't take another thing. This is it. That's all I can handle, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Ugh,
Um, but so that happened in
that was 2008.
2008. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then I had Tristan, and then so we were talking about kids and all that other jazz. We're skipping around a little bit, but that's okay.
yeah.
The next major things, what was the next major thing that happened?
Um, well, like you were saying, my dad died in 2015. Um, that was rough too. That was really rough. It was very sudden. We spent 2 weeks in the hospital with my dad, um, and he never really regained consciousness. We decided to send him home on hospice because we knew he didn't want to live that way. And we, it was hard because we didn't know if he was going to breathe on his own when they took the tubes out. And he did. He barely did. He did. He was breathing, and we were able to get him home with hospice. And that was a really, really rough time for a lot of reasons. My sister and I almost got into a knockdown, drag out fight, literally over his deathbed, but we got through that. Um, and my husband at the time, Les, he had been injured at work, like in 2006.
Right.
He ended up on disability, and I was managing his medications, and I had so much going on for that whole time. And then when my dad passed away, well, when he went into the hospital, I told my husband, I said, "Look, I need your help." And he came to my mom's house, but the entire time he didn't do anything to help me or the situation in any way. He just wanted to be there so that I could take care of him. And I couldn't focus on him at the time. I needed to focus on my dad and my mom. And he was definitely addicted and very much in denial of that. And I had been trying so hard to get those pain meds too much. And
Had a powerful
so,
grip on him.
yeah, it was at that point when I decided I got to get out. And it took about 3 years after that before I actually did leave. And, during those 3 years, it just was getting worse and worse and worse. And
Then you eventually wound up moving to another state.
yeah, it was the domestic violence detective that suggested I move away. Well, first I really didn't want to, but after a while I did because he was scary. I didn't even know where I was going. I
You telling me that you're leaving town, but you weren't allowed to tell me where, and you weren't even sure what, and
Mhm.
it
Yeah,
was really sad and hard for me to
yeah,
hear you going through that because there was nothing I could do to help you really. I couldn't like help you move or go to where you were or any of that stuff.
yeah. It was rough. I had to leave all of my kids here, which was the hardest part. My youngest, she was 14, and granted, she was his biological child, but that's why I couldn't take her with me. And
Right.
I had to leave them with their biological mother, which, yes, that's their mother, but I was their
The
mom too.
situation wasn't ideal.
Exactly.
Yeah, we fought for custody of those kids for a long time because the situation wasn't ideal.
Yeah. And,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's quite a journey.
Hmm. Yeah. So,
So
there's
then we're coming up on the year 2020.
hmm.
Kind of a big messed up everything for everybody.
Yeah.
When 2020 happened, my grandfather on my dad's side was living in his house and living with his daughter of many years. And, for like 22 years, she lived with him and took care of him. And she needed to have knee replacement surgery. So she went to go have surgery and she sent Grandpa to live with me in January of 2020. Also in January of 2020, my little nephew broke up with his girlfriend and needed a place to live. So he was 20 years old. And all of a sudden, I had a 20-year-old and a 97-year-old living with me in a 1,600 square foot house with my two children. At that point, my stepkids were old enough that they decided they wanted to live with their mom full time. And I had I had my nephew and my grandfather, my 97-year-old grandfather living with me during the pandemic,
Mhm.
and we got quarantined for 6 months. And I was really strict about being in quarantine because I had a 97-year-old and he was not about to die on my watch. He was not about to die because nobody washed their hands or went outside without a mask or anything like that. We were very strict about
Mhm.
everything having to do with the pandemic, and it was hard. But once again, look at that opportunity that I had where we had a 97-year-old living with my children on lockdown. And so they got to hear all the stories about all the things, and I'm so incredibly grateful that we
Oh
had that
yeah.
time with him. And then and my nephew worked out pretty okay too. I was glad he was with us. We had some hard times too, but it worked out okay. I'm glad that we had that time. And that was that was what I was doing with the pandemic. What were you doing down during the pandemic?
Whew. Well, when the pandemic
Well,
started, my daughter and my son-in-law were there living with me in Jersey, and they absolutely hated it. They already knew they wanted to get the hell out of there. Um, but I was also working. I had two jobs actually. I was working at the hospital. I was a dialysis tech, which I had done for years. Um, but I was a dialysis tech in the acute unit at the hospital, and then I also worked at a dialysis clinic. The hospital I worked at was in Newark, New Jersey. The clinic was in Staten Island, New York. Um, so there's that. I worked my ass off through that pandemic. We were short staffed. We were taking care of so many patients. We were inundated with patients.
can't imagine.
Yeah,
So much happening in that time.
yeah. But yeah, towards the end of the pandemic, I ended up moving. Um, my daughter and son-in-law moved back to New Mexico, and I moved out of my apartment into a different apartment, and then I ended up getting offered a travel position in St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands, which was fabulous. I was like, yes, please.
Okay.
um, I actually negotiated a pretty decent package with them. And I went to the Virgin Islands to work for 6 months. And it was fabulous being there. I love that island so much. I made so many fabulous friends while I was there. The work, however, was really hard. It was a clinic, but it was like working in a third world country. We didn't
Yeah.
have the supplies we needed. Our machines were older than dirt and not in good order. We literally had to jimmy rig things and just to make them work well enough to get people dialysis. And the doctor that I was working for was, uh, how can I put this? He was not the most ethical doctor. And after I came home is when I got diagnosed. I started having seizures, and I got diagnosed with epilepsy. So that was fun.
Lord above.
Yeah, yeah. So that
So
was,
that was 2021.
yeah. Hmm.
And now, so we're moving into like 2022. In March of 2022, I finally had gastric bypass surgery. So I've been struggling with weight my whole life. I gained 100 pounds working at Neodata in the first, like 1994. I had free soda and birth control pills and all kinds of stuff and gained 100 pounds working for that company.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really got rid of it. I was still 370 pounds when I got pregnant with my son in 2009. I was over 400 and I was over 400 pounds at my heaviest. So right before surgery, I was 404. I was having trouble walking. I couldn't walk between my recliner and the bathroom without a walker. I needed right hip replacement surgery, but I couldn't qualify for the surgery without losing the weight. So I finally did the surgery. I had the gastric bypass, and I did very well. Lost quite a bit of weight pretty fast, and I continue to work on it to this day.
I am
So
so extremely proud of you too.
thank you. Over the last couple of years, I managed to lose 210 pounds. I weigh about 210 pounds now. So I lost more than I weigh at the moment. So it's
Yeah, and you
crazy.
look fabulous, which
It's
you've
crazy.
always looked fabulous. You have always been the most beautiful person I ever knew. Next to your mother, of
Thank
course,
you. That's my mother.
who you look just like. So,
Thank you very much. That's very sweet of you, but I don't know. I feel pretty average. You
oh,
are also equally beautiful, and you sparkled at me the first day I met you, and I'm so happy that you're in my life.
so I guess that brings us to 2023, which was a really hard year for me because in January of 2023, I found a lump in my right breast and was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I didn't tell a single soul until after I had been through several biopsies and I met my oncology team and kind of had a plan set in motion. And I didn't want to tell my mom over the phone. I didn't want to tell my kids over the phone, and I didn't want to tell Taryn over the phone. So I packed up my little dog, Bailey, and we went for a road trip. And we drove from Jersey to Colorado. Surprised my mom. Actually, we surprised everybody. Nobody knew I was coming. Not a single soul. And I told my mom in person. That was really hard. Then I went to Taryn's house and I told her, and that was really hard. It was really hard.
Yeah, because I had been through it with my mother, and I'd lost my mom, and I mean, now here I was hearing that my best friend had it too. So
Yeah.
that was not fun.
No,
Not a fun day.
not at all. And the next day after telling Taryn, I drove to Albuquerque, New Mexico to tell my oldest daughter, also in person. That was also hard because her husband had been through testicular cancer and she had gone through that with him. So I knew how hard it was going to be on her to hear that her mom now had cancer. So we spent a little time with her, and then I drove back to Colorado and I told the rest of my kids. Um, and then I drove back to New Jersey, and the next day was in the oncology office with some more tests to do and some more biopsies and um, lots of decisions to make. And it was a whirlwind, let me tell you. Um, I had a double mastectomy in May. Uh, that was rough. That was a rough time, a rough recovery. And then I went and got my reconstruction. Thankfully I didn't have to have chemo or radiation. Um, they got all the cancer that they could see in surgery, so that put me at what they call NED, no evidence of disease. Um, and they let me know that if I could stay at that status for 5 years, then I will then be in remission. In the meantime, I have to continue on medication. My cancer was hormone driven, so I have to suppress my hormones basically. Like I say, I got my reconstructive surgery in November of that year. Um, and not happy with the results, to say the least. Um, anyway, in December of that year, 2023, I was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis, which is what explains my pancreatitis and my collapsed lungs and my diabetes and so many things over my lifetime that I've had to deal with health wise. Um, and so I'm on treatment for that too now. And so I have lots of doctor's appointments. Over the past couple of years, I've had anywhere from 3 to 5 appointments every single week, which is like having a full time job. I'm on disability. Um, yeah, so there's that. I am still here though, and I'm fighting strong.
Yep, doing
Everything.
great.
I'm fighting everything. I am a warrior. I am a survivor.
So during this time, you were in New Jersey and I was in Colorado, and I felt really helpless. I felt really helpless at that time because you were so far away. I was really grateful that you had such wonderful friends in New Jersey that kind of stepped in to help you when I couldn't, you know. I really think about all those people that were there, you know, that I got to meet. You were planning on moving back to New Mexico, and so I wanted to go see New York before you moved, and I wanted to go see you, and so I hopped on an airplane and I went out there for Thanksgiving, and well, this is a little before Thanksgiving, I guess,
Mhm.
right? And I went to LaGuardia Airport, and you picked me up and drove me straight into Times Square. Boom, Times Square, New York City. Amazing. So cool. It was so great to watch you drive in New York. I had a whole new level of respect for you and your driving at that point. You had changed. You were a Jersey girl at that point. So you were like cutting people off and
I remember
diving in the
you.
back. Like,
I remember telling you how crazy the driving is there, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I know it. I drove Uber in Denver. I understand." And I'm like, "No, no, no, no. You don't understand."
I had no idea.
Yeah,
Admittedly. Admittedly.
yeah.
I was awakened to traffic in New York. Amazing though. What a great trip that was. It was so great. We went um down to Broadway and we saw that play. We went to go see the
Chicago.
Chicago.
Oh,
We saw Chicago in New York
loved it.
City
Oh my god, that was so amazing.
and all that jazz. God, that was a good show.
It was. Oh,
And
it was
we
such a good time, and we
took the Staten Island ferry at 3 in the morning, just us and a couple of bums and a cop,
yeah,
so
yeah.
we could see the statue go by.
There went.
So
Um,
great. What a great time.
yeah, it was amazing. It was a lot of fun. It took me all of what 6 years to get you to go out there. The whole time I was out there, I'm like, Taryn, come visit me. Taryn, come visit me. And I was so happy
Yeah,
when
but
finally.
400-pound people don't get on an airplane,
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
I know that, and I knew that then too. And but once you got that surgery, I was like, okay, it's time. It's time. Ready? Let's go.
Ready, go, ready, go. And it was super fun for me to do things like borrow clothes from you when I went, like to
Yes.
wear the little cape and the hat and stuff. I don't know. We had a great time. It was
We
fun.
did. We had a blast. It was
So
so great to
good.
have my best friend there with me in New York and to be able to show you around and to show you off to all my other friends, and we had a little friendsgiving while you were
Friendsgiving.
there, and that was really special for me because I loved showing you off to my other friends.
It was really fun for me to meet them too and to thank them for for them being there to help you when you
Yeah.
needed friends the most.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for them too. I had, you know, being so far from home, getting that diagnosis, I was terrified. I was like, how am I going to do this by myself? You know, but my friends rallied, my coworkers rallied. Everybody just rallied around me, and I had such an amazing support system, not just back home, but there in New Jersey
Thank
where I was
goodness.
living. And, I could not have asked for a better, circumstances,
Thank
really.
goodness.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah, that year after your trip is, the next month in December is when I left to move back here to New York.
Right.
In just November, when I had my reconstruction, Emily came. She took care of me through my surgery. And then Nick came to help pack me up because we knew I was leaving. And Nick and Emily and my cousin John, they all packed up my entire house into a bunch of pods and sent them on their way to New Mexico. And then Emily and Nick packed up a bunch of my other stuff and my dog and drove across the country to New Mexico. And I got on a plane and flew to Colorado to spend Christmas with my mom. And from there, Taryn and Emma and I jumped in her van and they drove me to New Mexico to my new home.
Emma is my niece, and Emma was living with me at the time, and so she really wanted to go on this adventure with us to New Mexico. And this was the first real road trip I took with the van, where I took all the seats out of the van and made it a place where we can sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even have the curtains for it yet or anything. It was like 24 degrees, and Emma and I slept in the van for the first time, and we did great. We had the
Yeah.
sleeping bags. We like got the car all warm, and we jumped into the sleeping bags. We slept in the van, and then at 7 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and I climbed into the front seat and I drove directly to the Starbucks and went to the bathroom and got some Starbucks. And I came out with my coffee for Emma, and I gave her the coffee, and off we went.
Yep.
Anyway, that was my first adventure in the van, was taking you from Colorado to New
Mm-hmm.
Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And
That was a fun
then,
trip too. That was a really fun
yeah, it
trip.
was
We
because
stopped
we
at
went to
the
Santa Fe.
Yeah, we went to the hot springs. We stopped and saw a Pueblos. We went.
Oh, that's right, we went to Taos.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we
That's
had a
right.
lot of fun that day or that trip. Um,
So we gave us a little taste for that road trip, man. Give us a little
yes,
taste,
yes.
a little bit of a preview of what's to come.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. um, yeah, and then let's see.
And then in 2024, I had emergency surgery. Like, it was related to my gastric
Mhm.
bypass. Yeah, we were on our way to Red Rocks last summer, and I felt really awful. And then all of a sudden, I started to feel like I needed to throw up and pass out and all kinds of stuff. So we pulled over and called 911. And next thing I know, I'm in for emergency surgery because a little piece of my stomach adhered to my intestine. So my food wasn't flowing down, and I thought I was going to die. It was extremely scary. They had me on all kinds of morphine and all kinds of stuff. And that was just last summer.
Yeah, and that was scary for me because I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't be there for you. Just I knew my best friend was in major distress, and I could not be there for you or your kids or your husband or anything. I just couldn't, and I.
That's probably the closest thing I've ever had to pancreatitis, or that level of pain where I was just like, I could not do anything else.
Mhm.
It was just
Yeah.
surviving at that point. It was horrible, horrible pain. But after the surgery, I felt great. I was in
Thank
and out.
God.
It luckily was an easy fix, so that was that.
Hmm.
So then we get to have some more fun. That was in the summer.
Yeah.
In September of 2024, we got to go to my 30th high school reunion. But remember, we graduated from different schools together. So remember, we had friends from kindergarten that we all know, and so I insisted that Tori come to the high school reunion for my graduation because she knew a bunch of people. So we went together and we had a ball. It
Oh
was
my
so
gosh,
great
it's
to
so much fun.
reconnect with people that we've known for 30 years.
Yeah. There was
Actually,
what, like
44
seven?
years, some of them.
Yeah, because there was like what, seven of us from kindergarten
Yeah, that came to that
that
party.
came to that reunion, and so we got a kindergarten reunion picture of
Yeah, we
all of
did.
us from kindergarten that
It
were
was
there.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. We
30th high school reunion. Look at us go, man. We survived breast cancer. We survived, car accidents. We survived
Yep,
babies. We survived divorces. We survived psychos. We survived like all the things,
all the things.
and we made it to our 30th high school reunion.
Yep.
So that was very cool.
Yeah, and then this summer, so
We topped it all.
oh my god, yes. So when I got my breast cancer diagnosis, I found this community called the Breasties, which was amazing. Amazing. Like that first year, literally 4 weeks after my mastectomy, my major surgery, my double mastectomy, I went to camp with these people, and it was just this amazing, life changing experience for me. And I was just amazed by how um, wonderful this whole community was. And so I went to camp again in 24, and I became a cabin leader that year. And it was so much fun for me to be a cabin leader. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this again. So this year, again, I was cabin leader. And last year I tried to get Taryn to go with me, and just it didn't work out. It just life. So it didn't work out for her to go. But this year she was finally able to go with me, and I was so excited to take her with me to camp. And we talked about flying, and we talked about driving, and we ended up saying, okay, well, let's go ahead and do a road trip. Let's make a road trip of it. And then we decided,
Since we're already there.
since we're there, we can go do this, and we can go do this, and let's go visit this person and that person. And so this road trip, it turned into a 6,000-mile road trip. We hit what, 24 states, 23 states, something like
23
that.
states in
23
22
states
days.
in 22 days, yes. And
6,000 miles.
it was over 6,000 miles at the end. And oh my God, it was just the most fabulous trip. We had the best time just over and over and over again. Taking this trip with my best friend of 44 years and seeing all these places that neither one of us have ever seen before. We went all the way up to Maine. We drove all the way down the coast, the East Coast to Florida. Then we went all the way over to New Orleans and Texas and home again. And it was just fabulous.
And miracles happened, and we're going to tell you all about that trip in another podcast. We're going to give it a whole podcast
Oh, yeah.
eventually because we learned so many things and we had so many adventures and we met so many people. And like I said, miracles happened. It was life
Oh, yeah.
changing.
It
And
was.
we decided on this trip that we needed to start a podcast because we have a lot of things to talk about.
Mhm.
Even after 44 years of friendship and 22 days in a car together,
And we're
we still have things to talk about. We still love each other. We're still friends. We made it through all the snoring and the puppies and the whining and the, whatever for 22 miles or
oh,
22 days.
and not only that, we had my puppy with us.
And a puppy.
Yeah, yeah.
22 days, 23 states, 6,000 miles, and a puppy.
Yep.
And we're still friends.
And we're still friends, yes. And
The
believe it or
puppy
not, we
was
want to do it
great, though.
again.
Of all the puppies in the world, if I had to travel with one, I would pick this one. She was so
She was
good.
amazing.
She
I
was
was so
only
proud of
three,
her.
4 months old. 3
Mhm.
to 4 months. She was
Yep.
3. We were on the road for a fourth of her life.
Literally.
And we dragged her through the Smithsonian, and we dragged her through the
The
the biggest
aquarium.
aquarium in the United States, the Atlanta Aquarium, and we did all kinds of stuff, and that little
We
dog
saw
just
the
came along with us,
ocean.
and she was such a trooper.
Yeah, we did so
She was a
much.
great
It was
addition to our
amazing.
little
She
thing.
was. And everybody welcomed her into their homes too. It just, I was worried about that when we left. I'm like, I don't know about taking the dog to other people's houses, and but everybody was just loved her, so that was
Thank
fabulous.
God. And we're so
Yeah.
grateful to all the people who let us stay with them and gave
Oh
us
yeah,
shelter while we were on the road because it
and
was
food,
really
all the
amazing.
food. Yeah.
That made it 10 times more special that we got to stay with cousins and friends along
Yes.
the way. So good.
Yeah.
Cousins Hotel Chain, five
That's
stars,
right.
2 thumbs up.
Highly recommend.
Highly recommend.
Oh,
But now we'd like to talk a little bit about our podcast and what we're going to be talking about in what the future of our friendship brings here. Like let's talk about what this podcast is going to be about.
yeah. So, we really, our goal with this podcast is basically healing, not just our own, but yours too. We want to go through, you know, hard times and good times and share our experiences with you. And we want you to share yours with us too. We want to um, explore how to heal with each other and how to celebrate, you know, how to enjoy life. We have a lot to share with all of our
We
experiences.
do.
And we know that you guys do too. And yeah, we want us all to be friends.
We do want us all to be friends. We do. We want us all to have lots of friends and to reconnect with people that we care about, to actually go out and see people that matter to you, the like going to see those cousins that we haven't seen in 10 years or ever for that matter.
Yeah.
Um, it was miraculous, and we would like to encourage people to lean on each other in hard times and to be there for each other and to witness each other's trials and tribulations and successes and to celebrate those things um, that we achieve together, and that we see each other do. I lost all this weight. You made it through cancer. I've been through a divorce. You've been through a divorce. We raised 8 kids together. Amazing. We've done amazing things in our lifetimes. Let's give women a chance to have an opportunity to tell those stories and to talk about how they shaped us and how they shaped the world, really. We make a bigger difference than we know. I think we really learned that on our trip a lot, that everybody that we touched on that trip was affected by us in one way or another, and
And we were affected by them as well.
big time. I learned some hard, big lessons on this trip.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Hmm.
we're
And we
shaped by our experiences.
Yeah, we all are. We all are, and we all need people to rely on. Even if it's just a shoulder to cry on, or an ear to listen, or a little bit of encouragement here and there. You know what?
Right, exactly.
Oh,
That
you're
little bit
doing
of
a fabulous
validation,
job.
like I
Okay.
see you, I feel
Yeah.
you, I've been there, or just even if I haven't been there, I see that you're there.
Yeah.
I witness you, and
Yeah.
I'm here to cheer you on or to support you however I can.
Yeah.
We need to do that for each other a lot more. And we
Absolutely.
know that we're not unique in that way. There's so many other women who have been through worse than we have,
Yeah.
or,
Absolutely. And we
you
want
know,
to share your stories. Write into us and tell us about you and your trials and tribulations. Tell me about what you're proud of, or what scared you, or
what your biggest accomplishments are,
yeah.
what are those hurdles that you've made it over, and
Hmm.
who helped you get there? Who are the friends that you leaned
Yeah.
on in those
Yeah.
times? You
Or if you
know,
did it all on your own. If you did
right?
it all on
Didn't
your
have
own,
a
or if
friend.
you're
How did you
doing it
get
on your own, tell us, and we'll be there to root you on. 100%. And
So our email address is travelingtreasures75 at gmail.com. Travelingtreasures75 at gmail.com. We'll put it down in the comments here on this video.
mhm.
And we hope that you subscribe and that you follow us along on this journey. You get to hear more about our adventures and our our trip that we just recently took, and the trips that we're planning on taking soon, and all the friendship that we plan on we plan on having in the next near future here. So thank you for joining us on this wonderful journey that we're taking. Thank you for joining us on our first ever podcast, and we look forward to speaking to you again very soon.
Happy travels, everyone.
Happy travels indeed.